Hey everybody, this is Blake here, and welcome to my review of Kingsman: The Secret Service. There isn't a whole lot for me to say here, other than that it's really good. I had a lot of fun watching it. The action scenes were very stylish and over the top and gory and incredibly well choreographed. Whenever they, had like a hand-to-hand fight scene, for example, I was surprised how many fancy-looking moves they included within the choreography. It's really funny. I almost always laughed at the jokes. Even the ones that didn't impress me in the trailer worked within the context of the actual film. Uh, so that was good. The actors are all having a lot of fun playing these roles, and the characters themselves are interesting. But I liked pretty much everybody, and I liked how everybody had their own style of humor. So something that Colin Firth would say, you probably wouldn't hear from Samuel Jackson, and vice versa. It wasn't just one you simple style of comedy. Everybody had their own types of jokes, and I really appreciated that. One thing that actually intrigued me the most about this movie is I'm a big fan of those old James Bond movies. I've been on a major Bond kick lately, and I've enjoyed even the lesser ones, the ones that don't get any acclaim, such as Moonraker or The Man with the Golden Gun. Uh, and I'm kind of glad that this film sort of was a throwback to those kinds of movies, and not to the extent that if you disliked those films, you'll dislike this. Now, Kingsman is very much its own movie, uh, but just the various allusions to, let's say, the old, Bond or spy films in general. I loved how, for example, the villain's lair at the end, the bunker, it very much looks like something that would have been lifted from an old Bond movie. Very over the top, and I thought the matching uniforms from the villains was a nice touch, and I liked a lot of the dialogue where they reference that. It's like this movie is aware of all the cliches within the genre, and sometimes will utilize them to its advantage, but other times it'll totally go out of its way to just do the total opposite of what you'd expect from it, and that left me thinking that this film was pretty unpredictable, and I was surprised at some of the events that happened. Uh, there's a lot of stuff in Kingsman you don't see very often, even when it came to the villain's motive. It's not just your traditional, villain wants to destroy the world scenario. His motivations and how he's actually going to do it were pretty clever, and there's just so many little quirks that add so much, such as the main henchwoman having no feet. She just has blades where her feet's supposed to be, and then she uses that to slice people in half and all sorts of crazy shit. Um, that was once again another thing that I just really liked. One of the things I love about Matthew Vaughn is that even though he definitely has an eye for visuals, he never lets that overtake the script, in total contrast to, let's say, Zack Snyder or the Wachowski brothers. They have some really good visual ideas, and they could always, deliver a cool-looking movie, but ultimately the screenplay itself kind of gets buried underneath all those visuals, and you don't really notice it as much. There's nothing wrong with it if done well, but it's refreshing that Matthew Vaughn, he could find that balance that you don't see too much these days. Now, there isn't a whole lot of substance in regards to the screenplay. I'd say, in fact, this is definitely a case of style over substance. But I only say that when I compare it to, let's say, Kick-Ass. Kick-Ass had a much stronger character arc. It had a more emotionally moving message. it affected me more on a dramatic level. It wasn't just entertaining, whereas Kingsman, it just wants to be a complete lark from beginning to end. Even when something dark and depressing happens, you won't really feel all that down for more than a couple seconds. Uh, but that's okay because Kingsman still works thanks to its clever story or plot twists, or it's once again, it's point to work around the cliches or just totally avoid them altogether. And even when it ultimately uses them, it somehow makes them funny and endearing, and the dialogue is so well written. Um, so the screenplay does manage to stand out. Uh, so, anything else I could say? Nah, just go see the movie. It's really, really good. It's the first movie of 2015 that I could honestly say I thoroughly enjoyed, and it will probably appear on my favorite films of 2015 list. I hope it doesn't bomb. This year has already been really depressing, and if the first really good movie that I've seen underperforms, oh God, that'll just be the nail in the coffin. And I don't think there's anything particularly great looking coming out in the next month or so. Uh, so hopefully, everybody chooses to watch this, or at least people who don't mind the graphic violence. So that's all I've got. I did not do a written review of this, but I did do written reviews of the 8 Diagram Pole Fighter, 1980s kung fu film starring Gordon Liu, who's probably mainly known these days for playing Pai Mei and the guy in the Kato mask in Kill Bill. 14 Blades starring Donnie Yen, a much newer kung fu movie. Slashed Dreams, which is a re-review of a very fake slasher. And The Woman in Black, also re-review the 2012 movie. So be sure to read all of those. Follow me on Facebook and Twitter. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope you go see Kingsman and enjoy it too. And I shall see you guys later.